So I'm coming up to the graveyard, and there's an iron fence, and I'm just walking along the iron fence. I look over, right there is a moose this far away, and I'm like, whoa, hi Mr. Moose.
Once upon a time, I was 17 years old and moving from Austin to Humboldt County, California with my very ex-girlfriend. And we had pulled up through Nevada and we had just turned into the state of California, and it was my turn to drive and she'd fallen asleep. It was very late at night and we were on mountain roads, and off in the very far distance there was a bright green flash, and I saw it and I thought nothing of it and I kept driving. And she was asleep and I was listening to whatever on the radio and I'm driving, and it had been forever. We've been on the road for like 3 days at this point. And a little while later I saw a little flash of green light again in a slightly different place. And it started making me scared. Like the hackles on my neck went up and I was kind of freaked out. And I started realizing that I hadn't seen street signs for a long time, and I hadn't seen houses for a long time, and I hadn't seen another car for a long time, and I was out in the middle of nowhere, and I was 18 and I was little and I was scared, and I was by myself for all intents and purposes because my girlfriend was asleep and she'd probably driven the lion's share of the whole trip. And then the green light flashed again. It was a slightly different space again, really far away. And finally I woke her up. And her name was Sarah, and Sarah wakes up, and the first thing she does when she wakes up, she's like, what the fuck's going on? Like scared, hackles on her neck, like, out of her mind, like scared, spooked. And I was like, nothing, I'm just scared, and we've got like a long way to go and I would really like some company. And so we didn't talk, and she held my hand and I'm driving. She's like, what's that green light? And I'm like, I don't know, that's kind of what's spooking me out. And we're driving and I put on Fishbone because I figured, again, not to date myself, but I figured like no one's ever really died horribly while listening to Fishbone. It's goofy, it's ska, it's good. And so like I'm driving and Fishbone's playing and it's like goofy and wacky, and I'm feeling like, let's get into it, and I'm trying to make her sing along. She didn't know the words, so that kind of fucked it up for me, but like I'm like singing along to Fishbone and we're driving and it keeps flashing and it keeps flashing and starts getting faster and brighter and closer kind of, and it's like waking us out, and she's like, we don't know what to do, this is pre-cell phone, this is like, there's nothing I could do. It's pitch black, no light, and the mountains are gone, we've gone through all of that, and I pull up this sign, I'm like, hey Sarah, can you check the map? Again, this is like pre-cell phones, we had to like look at maps and like figure out where we were and like where we were going. It was terrible, honestly. And she opened the map and she started folding it open, and about 100 yards in front of us, it was a field, so it was a stop sign, arrows pointing right and left, and then a field that went really far back, and somewhere out in the middle of the field that green light turned on, and it came up out of the ground maybe 3 stories, 4 stories up, and it was the same green light, and it was so big. It was about the size of like a Volkswagen Bug. It was a big light, and it was so bright, so overwhelmingly bright that like everything around it was casting shadows like noon, but it was green. And Sarah started screaming, which is the worst reaction, really. I didn't know what to do. She's screaming, I'm staring at it. It was like standing in the sky, just sort of wavering back and forth. Not a lot, just like kind of right in front of us. And then it shot all the way off that way, as fast, like so fast. And it vanished off from the horizon. And suddenly it was pitch black again, and she stopped screaming. And that was it. And I don't know what it is, but closest I have to UFO story.
It's a story about when I left my wife. Actually, at the time, she was my fiance at a gas station. I was on the phone. It was early in the morning. I pulled over to go to the bathroom. This was driving from LA to Sacramento. I asked her if she needed to go to the restroom. She said no. So as I got out, she said, hey, I need to go, but the door's shut. I go to the bathroom, I'm on the phone, I get back into the van, I'm driving. 45 minutes later, I'm getting phone calls from a strange phone number and text messages.
One day before, we had taken our engagement pictures. So I had eyelashes, and then, but that day in the morning, I just had the shorts, my shorts, and then my eyelashes, they were falling off, and then I was really like messy. So then when I went to let the people from the little store, the gas station store, when I went to her and I told her, oh, my boyfriend, my fiance left me, and then she told me, that happens all the time.
Finally I pick up the phone, I go, who is this? And it's my wife. She's saying, honey, you left me. So after 45 minutes, I had to drive to get off the freeway, turn around, and go back to the gas station I left her at. Most women would probably break up with their fiance at the time. I'm actually still married to her.
There I was, north of the Arctic Circle in Bettles, Alaska, walking on the path when suddenly a rampaging bull moose came charging out of the birch thicket. What could I do but spin around and whack it on the nose with my arm? And so I broke my right wrist, but you should see the moose. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.